Oh boys, so it's been an interesting weekend to say the least. Defamation, age restriction, demonetization. I'll let Ariel Helwani ask the question that's on everybody's lips.
Who is behind all of this?
Who do you think the main person is, Ariel?
Well, I'm assuming your wife, but I don't know if she's the one actually she's the brains behind it.
She is the brains behind absolutely everything I do.
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
All fair in love and war. Not that there was any doubts in my mind who it was. It was stated on social media, which everybody was sending to me anyway. You were using my thumbnail and the same video got shut down for a copyright claim. At the end of the day, all my content is still on my channel, still available for everybody to see. Because when you tell the truth and you don't tell lies, people will watch, they will understand, and they will make up their own mind. So I think it's important to talk about defamation and hypocrisy. I'm going to go through a little video here of Ian Garry being interviewed by Ariel Helwani. And it's very insightful, very interesting in the context of what has happened this weekend. We're going to point out a little bit of hypocrisy. We're going to possibly point out a little bit of defamation on his behalf. And that's where we'll go with this video. If you can like, subscribe and share, I'd really appreciate that. And obviously I have an Instagram, a Twitter and a Rumble. It's extremely important to follow me over there in case I go missing from this platform. That being said, we'll jump into this video. So we're going to watch this video with Ariel Helwani and Ian Garry. They talk about who is behind the push, who is behind the content creation, who is behind the persona of Ian Garry. And of course, there's only one person behind it. This is not defamation. This is not satirical. This is out of his own mouth. He explains it here. Let's have a little listen.
What's going on with your social media? Who have you? Let's give a shout out to this, because like there has been a major shift in the content that you are putting out. Who is behind all of this?
Who do you think the main person is, Ariel?
Well, I'm assuming your wife, but I don't know if she's the one actually she's the brains behind it.
She is the brains behind absolutely everything I do.
I'll pause it right there. Again, let's hope I don't get sued for pointing out what you already said. She is the brains behind every single thing that you do. Now that's very interesting when you think in terms of a clip like this.
There's been a lot of shit being said online about me, my family, my personal life. All of it's fucking nuts. So my wife decided to clap back a little bit, give some truth to the story. And yeah, so look, my wife is the most intelligent person I've ever met. That's why I married her. That's why I fell in love with her. She's fucking awesome. Now, if you think you're gonna talk about me or my kids or my team or my family and me and her not clap back, then you're fucking nuts. Listen to what she has to say.
Yeah, no, I'll pass on listening to what she has to say. If I want to hear something screechy and loud and annoying, I can go outside and feed my 2 dogs. No problem there. So Ian Garry already explained to Ariel and many other media outlets who is behind the content creation, who is behind what he does online. So given the fact that he popped online this weekend to take a shot at content creators who have been talking about him, which in fairness looked like it was a hostage video, we know who put him up to that now, right? Because he said it himself. His words, not mine.
And she is the one with the eye for content, for media, for understanding what's funny, what's not, what people like.
I'm going to rewind that just in case you missed it.
And she is the one with the eye for content, for media, for understanding what's funny, what's not, what people like.
So his manager is the person with the eye for media, for understanding what's funny, what isn't, what content works, and what people like.
Are you serious?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If I had someone like that in charge of my marketing, given the fact that you have comments closed now on most of your social medias, without any coercion from myself or any other content creators, we just put out public information, nothing defamatory. Without any coercion from us, people made up their own mind. And there's an interesting point from Ian Garry here in 30 seconds time, which literally refutes everything that has happened this weekend and totally goes against him putting out his clapback video, as he calls it. So can you imagine having a marketing person, someone who's an expert in content and what people like, working for you, and seeing your online persona plummet, nosedive? Any normal person would get fired, right?
Do you think that if you are a fighter fighting in 2023 and you're not doing this, you're not having someone follow you and put out content like this on Fight Week, you're missing the point? I feel like you can't fight anymore and not do this type of stuff. I mean, obviously Conor and those guys are on a different level, but someone, you know, who's trying to rise the ranks, you have to, right?
I'm going to pause that before we hear his answer. Great question by Ariel, and very pertinent to UFC fighters' profiles, especially building up the fights. Unless you have that online content creation, unless you have a persona that people want to tune into and watch, then it does make it hard when you reach the upper echelons of the UFC. We see it with the likes of a Tom Aspinall. He's the champion of the world. I love him. him. I think he's an amazing fighter. And the stuff that he talks about outside of the octagon in terms of, listen, the wife isn't interested in getting all dolled up, going to big events. She's going to stay home, mind the kids. I'm going to do this. I'm going to provide for them. He's a family man. That's the type of guy that I will get behind and support. And if Tom Aspinall had a behind the scenes documentary coming out this week, I would actually enjoy watching it. He doesn't have to be screechy. He doesn't have to be annoying. He doesn't have to have a professional marketing team behind him telling him everything to do, orchestrating every event. He doesn't need that. Just realism. That's all people want. And you could learn a lot by watching the likes of a Tom Aspinall, in my opinion. Ariel makes that point where if you don't have that, then it's harder to, sell out pay-per-views. We saw it with Colby Covington. How many people look at Colby Covington, hate him, throw shade at him? How many people attack that man on a daily basis? I've never heard of Colby Covington going after small YouTubers and allegedly shooting them down for defamation. I've never heard it. If it was my marketing team and I was in the position where I am now, jobs would be lost.
You 100% evident in the Paul brothers. When you look at everything they've done, and I didn't like it at the start. I was a hater at the start. Still am a little bit in my mind to an extent.
Interesting point. You look at the Paul brothers, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, two vile pieces of shit, to be honest with you. Brilliant at marketing. This seems to be the route which Ian Garry's manager or himself might have thought was a good idea to go down. Maybe this is all part of the master plan to get every content creator out there talking about you and your relationship with your manager and all that sort of stuff. Maybe that was the plan all along. Maybe we've all been duped by the mastermind of Ian Garry and his manager. So this is the really important part that I want everyone to pay attention to in terms of context, which was used a lot on the weekend on Instagram channels which I'm blocked from, which is interesting. Which is very interesting, and where very dubious claims were made about directing hate towards somebody. I think you can go back to one of my last videos and I spoke about myself personally and subjectively would never comment or never leave a comment on someone's social media being anything near hateful. The word hater and hate is thrown around willy-nilly at the moment. And I think that a lot of people should be extremely conscious, like they projected themselves in terms of understanding what consciousness is, and understand that criticizing a public figure is not directing hate at them. All we can do whilst reacting and criticizing public figures, which is under the banner of free speech and journalism if you want to go down that route. If you were Ariel, you'd be talking about 13 awards or whatever the fuck he talks about all the time. Never do you see said content creators whose thumbnails showed up all over Instagram this weekend. Never do you see these guys directing, asking, or even encouraging any sort of hateful content pushed towards another person. Never. It's the opposite. In fact, if you watch live streams from all these guys, including myself, we tell people all the time, hey listen, don't go over there and start throwing shit. You can do the research yourself, make an objective decision on whether you want to comment or not. That's not on me and that's not on anybody else. So this question by Ariel Helwani is extremely important and probably is the crux of this video, because he asks the question of Ian Garry, and it does play into the response video we saw from Ian Garry this weekend.
On the flip side, when you put yourself out there so much, the haters do come. Do you find that you have, as you continue to succeed more, you're impervious to all of it?
Ariel, I have always said this from day one, before I had any ounce of success or fame or whatever it is you want to call it. I couldn't give a fuck what people think about me or what I'm doing in my career or what my life choices, what I'm doing with my life choices, how they feel. I couldn't care less. That's on them. But I'm just going to focus on me, and the haters are going to come regardless of what it is you do in life.
I'm glad that he said it. I'm glad that he actually clarified for everybody, including his management team and his marketing team and whoever is running his social media. He clarified it there. The haters are always going to come at you in life. I get so many people coming at me when I talk about Israel Adesanya, when I talk about Jorge Masvidal, when I talk about Paddy Pimblett. The amount of people that send threats my way and want my life ended. And not only my life, my wife and children's life. I got numerous direct messages, emails and comments, all in that line, and I accept it, and I understand when I put my face out in public like I do on this channel, I am gonna receive pushback. Obviously Ian Garry understands this as well, and unfortunately his marketing and management team don't understand it, and it gets into the territory of having feelings hurt, and all of a sudden everyone must stop talking about us. even though we're in the public domain. Interesting.
Always going to be people in the world that say you shouldn't be where you are. You don't deserve what you deserve.
And let's be 100% clear here. Not myself or anybody else who talks on this subject has ever said that you don't deserve to be where you are, that you did not work hard, that you are not a fantastic fighter. No one has said that. Absolutely none. I believe the opposite. You know, it's even more annoying that you're a good fighter. And there you have it. That's kind of the way it goes, right? You said that I don't care when people talk about my life choices. It's always going to be there. So how did we get from you not giving a fuck about what people think of you and your personal choices to this?
There's been a lot of shit being said online about me, my family, my personal life. All of it's fucking nuts. So my wife decided to clap back a little bit.
So there we have an exemplification of hypocrisy in the highest. We have people coming out talking about truth number 1, truth number 2, truth number 3, then actually not refuting anything that was said, just changing the context of it. If I write a 12-page book, that doesn't make me an author. You're being pedantic and you know it, and you're playing the victim. That's what's happening here. And as I said in my 2 last videos, I reckon if this was down to Ian Garry, he would have done what most fighters, I would say 100% of fighters would have done, and ignored this trash, and it would have went away after a week. That's what would have happened. So there you have the hypocrisy. In terms of the defamation, MMA Guru covered that extremely well with the Neil Magny. But you can go back and look at the Jeff Neal stuff as well. You took advantage of his past and his personal life. You put it on t-shirts, you sold it, you gained monetarily from it, as well as thinking that it was all part of this game and this tactical 4D chess that fighters engage in. So just understand that when you go after Neil Magny and you defame him and you absolutely destroy that man's character for the sake of building your own persona, and that guy doesn't sue you, that's the way it should be done. And when you do the same to the likes of a Jeff Neal or whoever it may be, these guys are not going out there suing you. I don't know what's going on with your management team. I don't know what's going on with your marketing team. I don't know what's going on with yourself. You've attacked Sean Strickland this weekend and threatened to sue him. You've despicably attacked a small content creator who was speaking the truth, stuff that was in the public domain. You've gone against everything that you've said in the past in terms of haters are going to hate, and if you're a public persona, people are going to talk about you. I don't care. I want to be champion of the world. You've done a 360 on everything that you've said, which does make you look like a hypocrite. And going off this interview with Ariel, we understand the plan. The plan was for you to become Sugar Sean O'Malley, Conor McGregor, Khamzat Chimaev, who all had these huge online platforms built. People would just tune in to see a 30-second clip from behind the scenes of these guys. So that explains why you're going around with 50 cameras with you at all times. But no one really knows who you are. So the plan was to become this big online personality, this larger than life, this guy who transcends UFC. Not only is he a fighter, but he's a massive, recognizable guy. That was the plan. And it completely and utterly backfired. You wanted fame so bad. And this weekend, I gave it to you. And what did you do? You thrown it back in my face and you attacked my channel. That's gratitude for you, I guess. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like, subscribe, and share. Cheers.